But here's one thing, Will. Clarity is this word which confuses many. And I have experienced that clarity in most phases of life is not something, probably it precedes circumstances. It probably, most of the times, it's like you connect the dots. And when a clarity is something that emerges in the hindsight, in certain cases. And then there are people who wouldn't want to start unless they have clarity, and use lack of clarity as an excuse to making to taking bold action, to taking that courageous action. And they wouldn't start for years. I had around 3 to 4 years in my life when I didn't start, and I was like, okay, let me have clarity, let me have clarity, let me have clarity, only then I'll start. But probably there were times when I didn't have clarity, but I took action, consistent action, and then probably clarity dawned, and I landed into a better place, a better phase of life when I connected the dots. Okay, this clarity was a result of the action that I was taking, and uh, yeah, there was a part of life when I didn't have vision, I didn't know what to do, but yeah. So how do you differentiate? How do you help people see clarity as, is it something that is like, you can't start without clarity? Or is it, what's your perspective on this?
Yeah, that's a great point. So when we talk
Mm.
about clarity, and when I talk about clarity, I'm not talking about having a full picture, right? We're never going to have a full picture. We really don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. We can only speculate about what we want the future to be and what we want. But what I say about clarity is to ask yourself where you presently are, and ask yourself where you presently are. Do you feel like you're living full out, or do you feel like there could be more for you in life? That's clarity, to understand that, you know what, I'm not totally happy where I am. That's a clarity point. And
Mm.
that's where it may be. When I started out, I didn't know that I was going to end up being the individual I am today. So, based upon my life, as I say, we were money challenged. We didn't have many other finer things. So, for me, clarity was, you know what? When I become an adult, I don't want the simple things in life to be difficult. I don't want to have to worry about, if I'm buying groceries, I'm not going to be able to afford gas. If I get gas, maybe I may not be able to afford my light bill. For me, that was clarity. I knew what I did not want. I didn't know exactly everything I wanted because I didn't have enough exposure. I didn't even know what was available to me. I just knew that I didn't want to struggle in life. I just knew that I didn't want the day-to-day necessities of life to be this humongous obstacle. So for me, I didn't start with what I wanted. I started with what I didn't want. I knew if that meant just having a solid job, a foundation where I was getting paid nicely, that could take care of all of my bills, then for me, that was number one. But when I joined the military, I had the opportunity to live over in Europe. Well, this was the first time that I'd ever left my neighborhood. For the first 20 years of my life, I did not go more than 20 miles from my doorstep. So I lived a very limited life. I lived a very unexposed life. But when I got on that plane for the very first time, even that was a moment of clarity. Wait a minute. I could be in another state, another country in a matter of hours. That was clarity to me. That meant to me that, wait a minute, I could literally get to anywhere in the world from where I was right there. That had not been a concept to me. That had
Mm.
not been a concept for me. I grew up, my family didn't have a car. We used public transportation. So that limited you, right? It limits where you think you can go, because you say, well, if I'm going to take public transportation, you know, I remember as a little kid, it would take me 2 hours on the bus to get to school. Now I'm on an airplane, and in 2 hours, I'm 4 to 5 different states away. That was fascinating to me. That same 2 hour block, in one block, it will get me to my school that wasn't that far away, but because of the bus system always stopping and things like that. But then I get into a plane, another mode of transportation. And now in that same 2 hours, I'm in a whole different state. That was fascinating to me. So when we talk about clarity, you're right. A lot of people, they get paralysis because they don't have it all figured out. They don't know the next step and the next step and the next step. But as you said, I believe that each step begins to reveal more and more and more. You know, I'm sitting here with you. I'm in Phoenix, Arizona. You're in India. My God, 30 years ago, I couldn't have imagined this.
Exactly.
I wouldn't have put this down on a piece of paper to say, I'm going to get interviewed by a man in India. I couldn't fathom that, right? And so anybody listening to us, think about you. You know, I was reading a little bit about your story and the impact and the clarity moment you had back in 2009, and you went on that 21-day journey. And that 21-day journey began to provide clarity for you that you had never had before. And so we never know how clarity's going to happen, but it does happen through action. And because you took action to be committed to those 21 days,
Exactly.
you now have a show where you're interviewing some of the most renowned individuals, some of the most renowned CEOs around the world. That's amazing. That's what clarity does for you if you're willing to take the step.